heart and soul of Spice Mass at the Grenlec Traditional Mass Festival on Saturday, July 27th at Hero Square, Victoria in St. Mark. Join us from 3 p.m. and witness the spectacular cultural display of the various traditional mass bands such as Carriacou, Shortney, While in there, Jab Jab, and Maypole dancers with vibrant costumes, infectious music, and unforgettable cultural tradition. Bring your family and friends to enjoy an afternoon filled with excitement and heritage. Your presence is not just a visit, but a contribution to the preservation of our rich Grenadian culture. The Traditional Mass Festival, commencing 3 p.m. Hero Square, St. Mark. See you there. Saturday, 27 July. This event is sponsored by Grenlec.
Today we go mash it up. 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 You can't stop the unstoppable. You can't move the unmovable. You can't move the unmovable. You can't break the unbreakable. You can't break the unbreakable.
Riders, yeah, welcome to the ride. Thursday on the ride. Yeah. Every hour, every minute, every second, we get closer to Spice Mass. Yeah, greatest show on earth. That's what we're getting ready for. Gearing up for Spice Mass Grenada. Hope all you're getting ready and getting in gear. Victor Batson, how you doing? As you guys come and go ahead and share the thing right now, share it on your page, because today we have an important conversation, guys. We have an important conversation today. Let me add followers to get everybody engaged. Today we're going to be speaking with Honorable Ron Redhead. So the folks in Boca, yeah, the folks Willis, that area there. My third home, as I call it, and the whole of Grenada. Today we're going to get an update on what's happening, guys, in Carriacou in particular, because you did know, or if you didn't, well, you probably were aware that the minister was in Carriacou aiding the Honorable Tevin Andrew, who is the Minister of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs, because right after Beryl, you could imagine how difficult it was for the minister, knowing that, you know, he himself was homeless at the same time, having all this work and all this assessments and everything. So Honorable Ron Redhead was appointed by cabinet to head off to Carriacou and Petit Martinique to aid Minister Tevin Andrew. Now, there have been so much speculation and gossip and just a lot of crazy talk all over that I think it was necessary that we bring on the MP to talk a little bit about what's going on in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So add followers, everybody. Add followers, everybody. It's important. Very important conversation. Thank you, Jennifer Lawrence. Thank you for add followers. Dennis, thank you so much. Nice. And listen, guys, what I'm going to do. So to someone who add followers randomly, guys, I'm going to randomly pick someone and give them one of the Ride polo shirts. I'll tell you guys about the new and improved Ride that's coming, but you'll be the first. So add followers, and some random person will be selected to get one of those Ride t-shirts. Okay? All right? Nice. Okay, good. Nato, how are you doing? Lydia, I see you. Add followers, everybody. Add followers. I want to give the minister a nice welcome. Clara, how are you doing? Thank you so much, Clara. Nafisa Evans, could be you. Yeah, one of those brand new Ride polo shirts is at stake, eh? You want the power pack? Oh, you want the power pack? Oh, you want the power pack? You guys know what the power pack look like, right? So the power pack is what we sent to Carriacou, and we have a few more in stock here. This power pack is amazing, by the way. This power pack, guys, is charged by solar, so you don't even need to plug it in. So we have a few of those that we send down to a few folks in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and we still have a few here. And not only it charged by solar and you can charge up 3 devices at a time, it also have this, yeah, it's like, okay, there you go. Yeah. So if I feel generous, I might give a power pack as well. But it's not for you. It's for you to give to somebody in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, okay? Don't hold it in your house. The people in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and those who don't have power right now, they need this more than you, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing. Thank you. Susan, I see you. All right, everybody share. Everybody share quickly. It's important. How much for one of the power packs? If you want to purchase one, you could do that as well. The power packs, where is it? Right here. Link to the power packs. Get the power pack. All right? Get the power pack. That's the link right there for the power pack. All right. All right, cool. Guys, let me start. So as I said earlier, MP Ron Redhead have been working extremely hard in Carriacou and Petit Martinique for over the past couple of weeks as he was appointed by Cabinet to assist Honorable Tevin Andrew, right? There have been so much stuff happening in Carriacou. There have been so much good stuff happening. People are volunteering their time, their effort, their energy, their funds. I even here in New York, people have been calling me from all over. Okay, they want me to come and pick up something in New Jersey, or someone called me from Staten Island to get a crate of water, right, to send them to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So everyone is working hard, right? Everyone is donating. Everyone is pitching in some way, shape, or form. But there have been some distractors and distracting messages that kind of seem, right? It seems as it is intended to take away that attention from the assistance that Carriacou and Petit Martinique needs at this point in time. It seems like the information, a lot of people, I should say, some people are trying to muddy the waters. I don't know if they feel like Carriacou and Petit Martinique have enough and they have enough forever, something like that. But it doesn't sound good. So I think it's very timely that the MP come on and help us understand what has been transpiring in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. MP Ron Redhead, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, my brother?
Well, I'm doing good, Junior. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I am looking forward to the conversation today. Notwithstanding that I'm tired from my mission in Carriacou,
yes.
But I can tell you I have all the energy in the world because tonight I have football in the lovely Tempe playing field.
Nice.
It's well being taken care of, so I'm going to head off right after the program to see.
Nice. Beautiful, beautiful. I appreciate that you answered the call to come and meet your constituents and also to talk to the general public about what transpired and what transpiring. MP Ron, tell us about Carriacou. You just came from there. How is Carriacou right now?
Yeah. Well, the situation in Carriacou somewhat has balanced out in terms of the initial cause for concern and the initial expected chaos that will normally ensue right after you had any disaster, whether it be earthquake, volcanoes, hurricanes, tropical systems, you name it.
Right.
And so the response within a 2 or 3 week period has been just what is normal in any island or any country or nation as a result of post a disaster.
Right.
But I still think having just being there, there is somewhat of still the shock that lingers for a vast majority of people. And I think they are going to deal with it in their own way. Carriacou people is very loving people, and they always like the togetherness and so on. And having their own homes exposed to the elements, having their stuff being all over the place and so on, is something that really shocked them a great deal, and they didn't expect that magnitude of a disaster. Right. And so they are coping with it And we expect, as they always do, that they're going to come around because they're resilient and they are going to eventually be back to their old self.
Yeah, right after the hurricane, we saw videos circulating of friends and family in Carriacou.
Yeah.
They some of them, their house got blown away, their shops, their business, everything. They lost everything. But they was on the street, and they seemed like they was smiling, they was living, they was coping,
Yeah.
right? And everyone was saying, well, the shock ain't really hit yet, right? At that point in time. Do you get the impression that people really start to understand the devastating effect that happened on July 1st?
Yeah. Well, I think so. Notwithstanding that we've had preliminary assessments, I know there is a psychosocial team giving the support. So I think by and large, they have had their own concerns and challenges, but they've been coping with it in their own way to try to ensure that they themselves do not deteriorate into a manner where they cannot cope and it's just a situation where they're going downhill and so I think they've been dealing with it in their own way, but trust me, it's been a difficult one just to accept the fact that all that you've worked for within one day on July 1st just went crumbling down within a day. So it's a very serious thing. I think, having experienced Hurricane Ivan, there is a stark contrast, definitely, in terms of the response and in terms of the coordination of the response by and large. But notwithstanding that, the effects and impact of any tropical system, whether it be tropical storm or hurricane, at that magnitude, is going to linger and is going to cause people to have, in a sense, a delayed response to the entire situation, having lost their homes.
Right, absolutely. Give us an idea, and for the folks who have not been on the island, give us an idea of how bad the devastation is from your
No, it was
perspective.
bad. So in particular, from property, business, infrastructure in particular, was the greatest hit. We did have some deaths. So the total deaths in Grenada amounted somewhere to about 5. So the entire state of Grenada, 3 islands counted. There were no deaths in Petit Martinique. There were a total of 4 in Carriacou, stand to be corrected, and 1 in Grenada. So that was the official death toll after the passage, immediately, or rather caused by the passage of Hurricane Beryl. After that, subsequently, quite unfortunately, some people did die. So the extent of the damage lingered primarily around the infrastructure, and that was in the immediate sense. But the long-term damage is the psychosocial damage and also the economic damage in terms of employment and persons being able to go back to work, your workplace, break up, roof gone, etc. So that is a concern that people really have at this particular time. That's the extent of the devastation. Not hearing you, Junior. I don't know.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah, you spoke about the economic impact, right?
Yeah.
The devastation to businesses. How devastated? Give us a synopsis of the devastation to the business model, business structure on the island.
No, it has been decimated. In fact, some of the local guest houses owned by private individuals and foreign nationals, so to speak, maybe about 90%. We went in a village in Craigston
Yeah.
to drive through just to see how the guest houses stood up. And by a great extent, I think we only counted 1,
Right.
which the roof did not go, but certainly dealt a severe blow in terms of on a particular side, which is
Right.
the seaside. So by and large, the others totally crumbled. We saw one building, concrete structure, totally crumbled to the ground. And you could well imagine these buildings were being sold for, as much as $2 million on the market.
Right.
And after that devastation, certainly they took a hard hit and they will have to sell it for whatever it's worth. No. And
Right.
so from an economic standpoint, Junior, there is a great impact that Beryl caused from that aspect. So the tourism aspect and also the boating or shipping aspect, in terms of fishermen who lost their boats, the tremendous cost it will cause them, and the sheer difficulty that they will have to face to pick up the pieces and knowing when to start. But notwithstanding that, government has already met with the business sector in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Honorable Prime Minister led the delegation, the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Tevin Andrews, and the Permanent Secretary, and the private sector, not representative, but the chair of the chambers,
Right.
met with business individuals in both Carriacou and Petit Martinique to get a sense from them where their mindset is at right now. But the key message that we want to share, even in this early stage, because we're in this for the long haul, is that any rebuilding has to be resilient. It can't just be that we return to just knock up the piece of thing and so on. Because if, and given the fact that we're still in the hurricane season, God forbid,
Yes.
another hurricane was to threaten, I could tell you we may have to even start talking about evacuations in certain aspects, because people are still vulnerable, so to speak. And therefore, it's only so much people that a shelter could hold. Remember, the shelter themselves, Delta Blue, and the only repairs to a vast majority of them has been maybe about putting up the tarpaulins, covering certain aspects so that you can return electricity in certain instances, etc. So the infrastructure is vulnerable at this time, and we're still in the early days of the hurricane season. So you could well imagine that economic problem or challenge.
Right. Yeah, I know. So you going in there, you were able to see what happening, assess and report, right? What is the process then after the assessment is done, after all of those preliminary and secondary assessment? What is the next step, or what is the process? Because a lot of people are saying, how come they don't start building yet? How come they ain't start? How come we ain't start seeing the houses and them start to all have roof again? Explain what's the process.
Right. Well, the first instance has to do with ensuring that we get aid to people who need aid, because there was displaced electricity, the utilities that totally decimated, etc. So you had that aspect to take care of, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first instance. That is so far has been settled and is going well. And I must commend the distribution team down on the port, Teacher Emma and her crew, her staff, so to speak. I think they're doing an excellent job, and they will continue to do an excellent job in terms of distributing the aid. And the second step, obviously, would have to be now where you conduct the assessment and you gather the data for decision making.
Right.
Now, these things are normally going to take some time to get a true picture of the extent of the damage. But I can tell you, without me giving any figures, I don't want to do that. The Minister of Finance, the Honorable Prime Minister, is well pleased to be able to give that information. But it's going to be high because we have to rebuild.
Right.
But the message, as I said, is that we cannot rebuild the same. We have to rebuild much stronger, or rather smarter, as the Minister of Carriacou is saying, the Honorable Tevin Andrews. And so the tremendous cost that is associated with the rebuilding is going to be very high. And I can tell you what we have received thus far is really a drop in the bucket, because the cleanup aspect of the rebuilding process that is required, because you had to clean up first, get rid of the garbage of the island. Again, Carriacou is unique because it's not like you could fly in a large plane with supplies. Everything goes by boat. And it's very expensive. You have to charter some of these boats in some instances if that's not their normal route. And it just takes a tremendous deal of resource to do. Petit Martinique has no large equipment. And so cleanup on the island of Petit Martinique will require us bringing up stuff, not just from Carriacou, but Grenada. And so there is that aspect of the commencement of the rebuilding.
Right.
We have already discussed and decided upon is that because we want to bring the society in Carriacou and Petit Martinique back to order, you have to first focus on the RGPF, the police station. And individuals have already donated towards fixing the roof of the RGPF. So while we thought we had to just put tarpaulin and wait it out, we're actually getting some hard cold cash from generous individuals or donors coming forward to help do and complete those repairs. The hospital, the revenue office, the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, the schools, to be able to ensure that there is some semblance of the return to normalcy, notwithstanding that we've been devastated by a Category 4 hurricane. So there is a combined effort that is required, and it's not just an overnight thing where you get up and say, all right, John Smith, you get this contract, just go and start to rebuild.
Right.
You have to get the materials, and in this instance, we are prepared to work with the businessmen and women in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, to be able to get materials from them.
Right.
Because we don't want to create a situation where we have to bring in all of the materials to repair, and the businesses within the islands do not get their fair share, because they need to return to some semblance of normalcy. And I can tell you also the supermarkets, majority of them, they have reopened because they have their own economic independence, so to speak. They got their generators and they started the process. So the fridge is full. You can now return to buying stuff, those who have the cash and can do so. The Ministry of Social Development went up in the last 3 days, to be exact, to roll out some seed beneficiary payments so that people could have some cash in their hand, those who were displaced and might still be sitting at a shelter or two, and notwithstanding that they will get aid, but it's still slow and it's on specific days, but they could have some cash to be able to do some stuff. So rebuilding is a process, and will not happen overnight, but we're in this for the long haul.
So if I get you right, because I want to take this clinically slow, right? You're saying that in order to rebuild, which is it makes a lot of sense to me, basic common sense. Before you could start to rebuild, you have to clean.
Of course.
And that you don't need a brain science, you don't need any kind of big kind of medal or any kind of certificate to understand. Before you have to build, before you start to build, you have to clean up the place. And that I understood that MIT was up there, volunteers been up there cutting and cleaning and clearing. That is important. So we can't start talking about putting up building yet before we clean up the place. So that has been done. And stabilizing, making sure people have food and all of that stuff. That has been moving. I know it kind of started kind of shaky, but it got much better, right?
Yes.
But why am I hearing now that the amount of money that is needed to build back the place, government already have it? Who did the assessment? Like, is there any assessment numbers that is out there that we don't know of, that I don't know of, that you don't know of?
Yeah, so not as yet. So any top junior like that is just mischief and designed to create the uneasiness. Because in this state of mind, some of the kayaks or Petit Martiniquans might be in, people would normally try to prey on their vulnerability. So they want the thing and they want it now. So they believe trying to echo that kind of sentiments, like they have the money, they could start rebuilding your house, they could start putting back electricity, they could just start to spend and so on, is to help create the dissent from the people themselves who are affected because they are vulnerable and they want back some semblance of normalcy almost immediately. But the reality is, we are not going to be able to do that even with the funds that we've already received. And then you cannot say in a disaster that, all right, tomorrow you get the money. So the hurricane was yesterday. Tomorrow you get the money and you could just start spending. You need to know what you're spending it on. You need to know, first and foremost, what you need to spend it on. So by way of what you need to mobilize, is it equipment? Is it human resource? Is it additional support to attract more capital to be able to facilitate what you're doing? And at the same time, you cannot upend everything else and focus solely on that, because remember, the entire island, or rather state, was not destroyed. And therefore, we still have a continuation of the country to run. We still have to pay salaries. We still have to do other things. We still have other obligations to meet. And so when people say that we get enough and we should start, they are being misled by that sentiment. And these are just convenient statements that are being made to help fit into a particular narrative that certainly is not looking at the bigger picture and the most important picture of the resilience of the island and protection of the island. Because we're still in the hurricane season.
I'm trying to understand this because to me, I'm trying to understand the logics of it. So, right? How do you mean to say that they have enough money? Like, who did that assessment? Was the individual or individuals, did they hire professionals on the island to assess, to say, yes,
Yeah.
500,000 is needed and we have 500 million is needed and we have 500 million?
Yeah.
Why would someone that live in the state, that use up all the resources of the state, try to deny Carriacou and Petit Martinique any further assistance?
Yeah. So let me just answer it this way. This is what I think. You know, we had enough money to pay the retroactive pension payments, and what we saw was that 1 point something billion was being touted, but it actually costed us around $77 million.
Right.
And to say that if that deals with retroactive payments of pensions, and to compare the immense destruction on the two islands, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, from an infrastructure standpoint. Because the other aspect that we are discovering as we continue to do the assessment is that a lot of the buildings, whether business or residential, they were not built to standard.
Right.
Junior.
Yes.
And so, by and large, you are reeling from the impact of not having the insurance, so to speak, to be able to cover the damages or the cost of the damages. So you also have to do that assessment.
Yes.
You also have to ensure that those who have insurance, that the insurance companies have some level of access to be able to do their own assessment and
Yes.
to commence their payout. And so that process is expected to start. We don't expect it to be simultaneous with government, but we anticipate some of the private property owners who have insurance. Their insurance company will take care of their costs. But as government, we would be looking at the entire picture and those who cannot fend for themselves. So I could tell you we've already had conversations around bringing in some prototype homes to be able to assist in the homeowners who lost their homes completely during Beryl. So that is also ongoing. But again, we need to cost these things out. We need to know exactly how much we need. So we have to do the assessment on the island, know how much homes were connected with Green know how much homes that probably was off the grid from Green and add that together. So you'll know the total amount of homes that were damaged. And then you need to separate those, as I mentioned, who have private insurance and those who don't have no insurance at all, and so on. So it's a lot of technical details that the technocrats are currently working on. So it's not a case where a politician just get up and say, start to rebuild, let me sign the contract, let me do this. This is not simple times. And again, Junior, I want to stress, we are still in the hurricane season.
Yes.
So you got damaged by one hurricane all up. If you get some money to help rebuild your islands, the best decision is not to just take that money and just start to spend it out wild and crazy and, you know, as if you're trying to bribe somebody for some election, but it is to meticulously manage the initial stages of it and to be able to have something also as an additional buffer in terms of what you have as well in the event that you get hit again. Because remember, I don't know that the same set of people or organizations would be able to just immediately give in the event that we get hit again or struck again. So you have to think long-term with this while at the same time addressing some of the short-term concerns. But they are being addressed by the administration. Certainly NADMA is doing a wonderful job now in terms of being able to coordinate the national response. Again, this is a stark contrast to what we experienced in Hurricane Ivan, right? And so, because Junior, if you look at the history of Grenada, we had Janet.
Yeah.
We had Ivan.
1955.
Right? We even had Tropical Storm Dennis. We had Hurricane Emily. We had Hurricane Tropical Storm Felix in 2007. We had Hurricane Thomas in 2010. So we've always been affected, by and large, by tropical systems, let's say post-Hurricane Ivan. So we always knew that we could get, but for a long time, we didn't get a direct hit. So the response, Junior, can't just be, and during Ivan, or rather in the aftermath, was loans, right? We were not getting grant money. And
Right.
to access grant funding for disasters is a little bit more difficult than a loan, which might be readily available because there are terms and conditions. Once you meet that, you could then start drawing down. Grants are always a bit more difficult to access the funding for disasters. So it's a work in progress. And while the CRIF is one element that we have already received, the bigger conversation is that alone is not sufficient for the rebuilding and to be able to assist in both, even in St. Patrick as well. I didn't call it as a parish, but it was impacted as well.
Yeah.
So, so you have to look at the thing in its totality.
So what you saying? What you saying? All that money all they get from SIF, are they still want more money?
Well, and as I said earlier on, you have to look at it in the context, Junior. A budget was read for a particular year or period. And so hurricane category 4 was certainly not factored in.
Right.
And therefore, spending, you don't want a situation where you have to call a supplementary and divert now funds from the budget, because it means largely a number of your programs that you budgeted for during the year will be affected, including some of your capital projects,
Right.
which can also have implications for your economic development and growth during the year. So all of that is being taken into consideration by the technocrats and is being considered
Right.
as how we make policy decisions. So it's not just a open sepulchre, I get 100 million or this million here, and it's just spend like a madman. No. That's, we won't be able, because I could warn you, we saw experiences with that during Hurricane Ivan.
Right.
Post Hurricane Ivan, when we got monies, it was spent, but by and large, we still had people in tarpaulins by the year 2008. We did not have, to a large extent, electricity until after the fact. So there were no mechanisms sufficient in place to be able to treat with a national response for a disaster like that. So now we've learned from that era and period. Remember, Grenadians were paying national reconstruction levy. I can't recall if it was on their income to be able to augment the development. And even after 4 years, we still had people who did not receive housing assistance to rebuild their homes. There was in Northwest, St. George Northwest, one of the homes had a tarpaulin, even by the time election was called in July 2008. So let's not get ahead of ourselves by making these pronouncements as if the monies that is being obtained could just be spent loosely without any data information to guide and direct how we spend it.
Right. You know, one of the problems that I have, right, I hate when I see, whether it's this administration, any administration, prop up themselves as they were the person or the one or the party, because I don't believe it's a party thing. It's about Grenada. Government is about the people pay the taxes, so the government represent the people. So I'm always very taken aback when you have political party try to take, they try to benefit themselves by claiming that they did such and they did such and they did such.
No, it's not the time for that.
No, it's not the time, and that's what I'm saying. So let's talk about shifting the 240 million. People want to take, get gratification for doing that. What's the understanding of that? Because there's a lot of different flurry of ideas going around.
Right.
That became a part of that insurance.
So all right. Let's accept the fact that this had to be done post Hurricane Ivan. Right. And even then, Hurricane Emily affected Grenada. I didn't hear any payout by CRIF subsequently, which was the year in 2005. Whether it happened or not, I stand to be corrected, but I didn't hear any payout. And as I mentioned, we had Tropical Storm Felix. I didn't hear any payout. We had the threat of Hurricane Thomas. I think it did pass to the north of Grenada, but by and large, we were not directly impacted during 2010. And there were other hurricanes and even just by way of storm surge and so on, which passed. And I never heard any payout. Now, we inherited a situation where, yes, we were under CRIF, but the previous administration certainly was not making payments and by and large had to rely on external sources to be able to assist in making the payments. So even by way of having experienced the devastation by Hurricane Ivan, the administration itself was not prepared to make the necessary sacrifices to ensure that the country was secure. Under the Honorable Deacon Mitchell's led administration, we were able to include Nawasa and Greenland, right? And then also the assistance to farmers, in particular for nutmeg and cocoa crops, which we've seen the announcement of the payouts to be done. So, Junior, the point I am making is this whole CREF thing, let's stop with the credit-taking business. Because if we were to discuss that, it wouldn't make sense for some people.
Right.
What we need to be able to say is that this facility is there, and we can now draw on it a number of years post Hurricane Ivan, learning from the experience that we had. So my thing is, again, the government has already drawn down on it, but the expectation is that you need to manage it. While we can expect, if we get hit again from CREF, another payout, but we shouldn't set our pots on fire for that. We should do everything in our power to manage the funds properly and meticulously, so that we could be able to navigate during the season and beyond.
Right. So let me understand from what you're saying. The process of rebuilding is a process. You have to clean up and you have to go through the process, and then yes, government did get that money from CREF, but it is a far cry from what the total might be. Now that total, no one has finally assessed that. So let's make it clear that there is no specific sum of money that is said to be the total
limit. The ceiling.
That has not been assessed yet. So anything to the contrary is someone playing politics.
Correct. And Junior, remember, we cannot, you could never quantify. So I'll give you an example. I looked at the museum in Carriacou. That museum in Carriacou is totally destroyed, right? From a cultural standpoint, the value of Carriacou's culture and Carriacou and Petit Martinique's culture, it has been destroyed. Now, were we to cost that out in dollar figures, it's going to be high, even more than just the infrastructure damage that we suffered. So the point is, the conversation is not about 44 million US dollars is enough. It is essentially about ensuring that we have sufficient to be able to lead the rebuilding, the reconstruction, the repairs in earnest, knowing fully well that it is a continuum, even next year. Some countries take 2, 3, 4 years to rebuild after a devastation like that. So, we kind of have to get serious. Grenada's budget annually is around $1.1 billion. And so to receive 44 million in a one-off and tell yourself, well, that is enough for the next 4 years. It's ludicrous. And it speaks to the idle conversation that some are having around a disaster where you had people dying, God rest their soul, and devastation to people's livelihoods and their properties.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that need to be echoed. I think that need to be said. Because I was in a conversation last evening. And I was in this conversation and someone else joined in that conversation. And they say, could you believe that government have so much money, but they're still begging for more money?
Oh God, I'm sorry to laugh. You see,
but I said,
you see, is this mindset? They find 44 million is a lot of money, and this kind of it's just in the real world, people don't react like that, and that is just emotional. We are at the level. This administration certainly is a mature administration, notwithstanding that many of us are young people, but we are mature in the sense to understand that in dealing with a disaster, that kind of thinking will ultimately cause the country to sink if you want to go on that basis. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
If you could just permit me, my laptop charger, I just forgot it.
No problem. No problem. Guys, so we're chatting live here with Honorable Ron Redhead, and we put up the phone number on the screen, guys. And this is a dangerous thing, This is a very dangerous thing. Because certain people, they don't understand the power of the microphone that they have on their chest, right? They don't understand the power and the magnitude of their voice. Because when I heard that from the person, now I didn't hear that from the person who initially said it. And who knows, I heard that been circulating in other circles as well. But the person who actually repeated it was someone who actually probably was watching on and got that idea and now is speaking like if that's a matter of fact. So what's gonna happen when this start to go and people start to talk about it? Now, someone, a would-be person, a would-be donor who's thinking about, you know what, let me send down some money to Grenada. They'll be like, nah, why you send down more money for that? Man, I have enough money, don't send down no more. While the money that was received by CREF is just a drop in the bucket. Just a pinch of what they actually need. Because this is not a sprint. This is not like this is gonna be fixed tomorrow. This is a long-term, that's for the long haul. It's gonna take years and years and years. So people now who was thinking about donating and hearing this kind of rhetoric, they would either stop or cease or somehow hold back on their spending because they say the country have enough money, Carriacou have enough, and the people in Carriacou would suffer. All because someone wanted to make a political statement. They wanted to somehow ensure that people don't give so that the government would have to divert a whole set of the money for projects towards that, and then the government would fail, and then the next administration would come in, and the next administration would be like parachuting as savior of the universe, right? All because of that, right? But they don't understand the long-term effect that it's having on people. People actually start to believe, let me keep my money in my pocket, that Carriacou have enough. So who actually getting the hard end of the stick there? The people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. That makes sense to all you? Why you mean it's enough? Why you mean it's enough? 718-701-5720. Give us a call, guys. Give us a call. Because, and another thing, because people are actually hearing these things and they actually believe in it as is facts. I think, you know, there should be some kind of mandate that when certain people speak about those things, it probably should have a disclaimer and say every word that comes out of my mouth is it's a lie or it's a distraction. There should be something like that scrolling across the screen. Facebook should probably have something like that. Because people are actually believing the thing as facts. But let me tell you guys, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, the little bit of money that was given and the little bit of money that was donated is not enough. It's not sufficient. And it won't be sufficient. It will never be sufficient. This is years of development. Years and years of development. And Carriacou and Petit Martinique need your support. So still continue to donate, guys. Still continue to support. Still continue to send the water and the toilet paper and whatever else. Like the other day, I went all in New Jersey and I picked up some water. About 7 or 8 things of kegs of water. Right? What if the person in New Jersey heard that rhetoric and they say, you know what? Nah, I ain't gonna send no water. They have enough water down there. It's dangerous, guys. It's very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous. The rhetoric is dangerous, and it need to be spoken out for what it is. It is dangerous. It's a political move, and I don't think it makes sense. No, it's not the time for that. You're back. You're back with us.
Yes, Julian.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So obviously, and just following up on the very conversation, the challenge that we have in societies today is that during Ivan, you didn't have social media, but you look at the level now. During Ivan, the prison was totally damaged, and there were prisoners who had escaped. You were dealing with far greater issues and challenges post-Hurricane Ivan in 2004 than you're dealing with the challenges post-Hurricane Beryl in 2024, right? 20 years later. And so lessons were learned. Now, I'm not going to speak in any great detail of this, but I could tell you the Honorable Prime Minister is a man of action and vision. Let me tell you one of the things that was done all of the high-profile criminals during the passage of Hurricane Beryl were moved from the prison into a secure spot. And this is critical because as much as he's criticized for certain things in the national security front, he is actually a man who is not a boastful individual. And I want to commend him for his leadership during this period. And leadership, not in the sense that you come out there and talking tough and huffing and puffing, but he was looking at the situation, again, meticulous, which is what is required even post how we develop. So these were concerns that had to be addressed, that were addressed, and you wouldn't hear certain people speaking about it because they do not understand the share of thought, decision-making, information that has to go into planning and preparing for a national disaster, or natural disaster. And so he must be commended during this period. So notwithstanding that you're going to hear all this old talk about what should have happened, and now everybody seemed to be on the end to say we need to rebuild. Yes, we need to rebuild, but the initial assistance that we got from some of the organizations, they are going to be pulling out just now. It's normally a temporary initial phase. They come, they help 3 weeks, 4 weeks maximum, and they have to move out. And so we as Grenadians, Carriacouians, and Petit Martinicans will have to fill the void. And therefore, it doesn't require us to respond in an knee-jerk, reactionary manner and emotion and so on. I mean, so I will say this to the opposition. I spoke to Senator Nolan Cox in Carriacou to say to him, brother man, an official communication may come, right? And what we will do is, even though it doesn't come, we want a representative from your organization to be able to liaise with us. So even if you have stuff, and this was early in the game, I'm talking week 1, post Hurricane Beryl. I spoke to him in Carriacou. We need that. He said, no problem, he's here to help, blah, 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 and so on. Now, what is supposed to happen is the opposition is supposed to reach out to government. I think Mr. Roland Bola, the General Secretary of the NNP, said that he did so. But I could tell you, up until week 2, there was no official communication. And I sought to initiate the conversation because I recognize that we need to be mature.
Right.
Now, I want to say this here because I haven't spoken about it prior. I could certainly say if the opposition is helping, we welcome that. And as a nation, we should all work together to be able to help. But having a situation where maybe about 2 weeks before Hurricane Beryl, we were dealing with a gastro problem on island, right? So both Carriacou, Petit Martinique. That was a cause for concern. If you are responding, you say the people didn't have food, they didn't have water. I mean, I can't tell you what to get because it's a post-disaster. But your first response is to go and cook food and to give them toilets, portable toilets. The question has to be, who is cleaning the portable toilets? And who is taking care of the garbage, the large amount, whether or not that was created after you eat a food? Because some people might throw up a bone, some people might leave the bone. They're going to just throw it. You did not have the normal structure or schedule for garbage disposal, and therefore it would have piled up. So you had the potential to create potentially a health challenge or concern post the pandemic. And this is not by way of me just speculating and giving any political response to what they did, but it showed that they didn't understand the assignment. You didn't have water. So sanitation would be poor. My God. Your first response is say, well, get some portable toilets. Even if the portable toilets could have been used, putting them in strategic locations would have been better utilized than just going and set it up on the side of the road, giving it to your supporters, etc. Because again, it came down to the question, who was going to clean it and who was going to take the responsibility of the cost to clean the portable toilets. So all of these things from a professional standpoint, the organization had to look at that. And by and large, they had to write to the government to say, these are our expertise. We are nominating these 3 individuals. They can help with coordination, district level, etc. And here they are. These are their names. These are their contacts. So any responsible political organization would have acted in that manner. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I was up in Carriacou the day when we commenced the rolling out of the decentralized distribution points.
Yes.
And the leader of His Majesty's opposition pass in a car, throwing some old talk and so on as per usual, and sitting, being driven around, and I walking, and I'm saying to myself, this is part of the problem why we cannot move forward. For some people, everything is about a political interest. So in my humble opinion, I looked at the situation immediately post the hurricane, and I said to myself, my gosh, what the opposition is attempting to do is to see how they can add in any kind of way to the chaos by spreading misinformation, by themselves going up there and creating the chaos, telling people all sorts of things. That's one. And two, by seeing how they can position themselves as somehow they are here to help and they want to help. So I can tell you, I mean, I don't think Senator Cox is going to mind me giving him some blows on the program, but I don't often do that to people because I don't spend time talking about people. But I must raise again, he said, for example, that one of the Starlinks was being sent up for him personally. The reality is, a gentleman by the name of Craig reached out, and as the MP assisting with coordinating government's operations up in Carriacou and Petit, I got him in touch with the right people. We mobilized and organized for them to come up to Carriacou Petit. They were able to place the Starlinks in shelters in key areas like the NADMA building because the internet was totally out, so that we could improve communication. And when they went up there, I didn't go up that day, they saw the assessment that they needed to place this thing in other strategic locations. The smart hospital was the area identified. So I didn't say, don't give Senator Cox and blah, blah, blah. I didn't say that. The people at the airport, I said to them, well, all right, proceed. When they got up there, the request was made for one of the Starlinks at the smart hospital in the city of Carriacou as well.
Right.
So the point is, Junior, we were dealing with a devastating hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
The response of the opposition, in my view, was and still is very mischievous. This is why they all over the place spreading all kind of rumors and so on. I mean, I don't want to get into the TV, so I'm going to not say what I'm thinking to respond to these lies that are being told, particularly about the amount of money and so on that we need. And secondly, I think that the opposition didn't learn from post-Hurricane Ivan, 2004. Because their immediate response was to create the chaos. The chaos is not going to profit me. It's not going to profit them. It's not going to profit the government of Grenada. It's not going to profit anybody. It's going to hurt us, and in particular, the people of St. Patrick, Carriacou, and Petit. So therefore, their response was telling, and I listened to the General Secretary just the other day on one of the local television programs, literally just making the point that he find you need to be faster and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's be serious. I don't know that post-Hurricane Ivan that we were anyway fast. And even Carriacou, which didn't get impacted very much, I didn't know that they were immediately off the ground and off their feet and so on 3 weeks later. It took much longer, and I would say much too long, to even get electricity in some of the hardest hit areas. So let's not go down that road of trying to say, well, we did it better, they didn't do a good job, etc. Let us try to say, we had Hurricane Ivan, we now have Beryl. Let's take lessons that worked post-Hurricane Ivan, apply it to Beryl, so that we could fast-track our recovery, which is the common or the bigger picture that we should be looking at. That's a common goal.
Right.
So I just thought that we need to know when to apply the issue of politics. There is going to be the chance when they'll get to go on the platform and call people all kind of names and all these other things and spread the lies. But for now, we were dealing with a serious situation, and it required some level of maturity and the well-touted experience.
Right. Have there been any collaboration, any collaborative effort to date with the opposition and government in the recovery process?
No, but what I would say is that they did assist one of their supporters to be able to cook some meals and so on for people, which indirectly would help. And this is me being totally responsible in my comments to say that I am seeing the bigger picture. So whether it is just supporters or whomever was getting the assistance and support, they did prepare that and got involved in that way. I did see some of the other associates going throughout shelters, going through different points in the communities, doing stuff. I saw former Minister of Health, Nicholas Steele, up there driving around, touring the areas, and so on. So there was some level, even former Senator Simon Steele, who has a very top job in the climate fight, was there, completed a documentary, and was touring the island, both Carriacou and Petit, to a large extent trying to ascertain and get data, spread the message out there that climate justice is something that we need to ensure that we are fighting for, because the damage to small island states is tremendous. So from that standpoint, it was not totally coordinated, but from that standpoint, they certainly assisted. There were some other individuals that I know are associated with them that are involved in other organizations, and that was good. Again, we have no difficulty with that, because the government alone is not going to be able to deal with the initial response.
Right.
But certainly what we needed, and certainly still do need, is some level of organization to the response.
Yeah.
So, for example, when people say that we need to route things through NADMA, it doesn't mean that NADMA have to say yay or nay. It means that you inform them so that they prepare. And I'll give you a very real example. Up in Carriacou, if you send a large boat now, on any given day, you would almost have to get volunteers from Grenada to go up simultaneously so that they could assist in sorting large packages, putting them together, and distributing them. Because when we just got in, the problem that we faced was that even if you send up a box of tuna, when you take that box of tuna and you just start to drive around on a truck and giving out and so on, when you swarmed in the streets, the people higher up won't get. So that's the element. You can probably walk down the hill in time, etc. That's one. And then two, if I know you, Junior, and you say, oh God, Ron, give me something, boy, you might pull out 2-3 tins. Sometimes it's me alone that living in my house and got affected. But a family who of 5-6 plus people, the lady running, you don't know what, give me something. You might just throw a tin of tuna, and that is not enough. So when it came to the question of coordinating and managing the coordination of the aid through NADMA, it was not to say that the government trying to run the show and so on. It was to say that is the requirement to be able to ensure that aid was going to be distributed equitably and justly, notwithstanding we've had that magnitude of disaster, and that those who needed it the most will be able to get it.
Right. Guys, I would have loved to see that collaboration where the opposition and government work together, because the big picture of this, is climate justice.
Correct.
That is what we need to fight, because if we can't fight against saving money, we have to talk about climate justice and how this is continuing to impact our region, right? That is the fight that we need to fight. We need to talk about the bigger countries playing their role to the smaller countries who are, think about it, Carriacou is like the smallest emitter of the gases. And they get the biggest strike.
Correct.
That is the fight that opposition and government need to fight. Not fight amongst ourselves, but we have enough money, and try to get people to stop give funding. So I think the climate justice is the argument that we need to focus on collectively as a body. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we could get more money in to our region so we could develop. So that's the picture.
And build the resilience that is required. Because I can tell you, one of the conversations that we need to have as small island states, we need the assistance, Junior, to be able to run our utilities underground so that the main structure of the utilities can be preserved. And in the instance of a hurricane, whatever it is, tsunami, earthquake, that even if it has struck, it is not going to be totally destroyed. And it does not require this tremendous cost all the time. post a disaster to repair. That's the level of conversation that we need to have, because we are saying our vulnerability is something which we absolutely have no stake over.
True.
Every year is getting worse.
Yeah.
And the argument is, how do we fight this issue when we ourselves are not contributing to emissions?
Yeah.
Right. So the only way to fight it is by building ourselves into resilient states and nations. That is the answer. And so, as you said, climate justice for us as big ocean states looks like ensuring that we have access to the capital
Yes.
to be able to construct or build our infrastructure in a resilient fashion. So that's a conversation that we need to be having, honestly.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. Again, guys, we open up the phone line 718-701-5720. I would echo the sentiments, guys. We are in for the long haul. Carriacou and Petit Martinique is far from where it needs to be. This is not going to be a 2 months thing. And after when those big medias and those big networks turn their cameras away to other things that's happening in the world, we have to fight up, right? We have to fight up. So this is a marathon. Anyhow you could donate. You see that donate QR code right there? If you scan this code, it's gonna take you to pay.gov.gd. That code, and that's gonna be on my screen for the rest of the year and maybe into next year and the following year as well. It's gonna be there because I know and understand that that is how we could continue to aid Carriacou and Petit Martinique and Grenada. Right? So don't let nobody fool you. Click that link, make a donation, even if it's $5. This is always going to be on the screen right there. Anytime you need it, it's right there. That link, pay.gov.gd. That's what we need to build Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Honorable Ron, I know that there was a conversation that was happening in terms of the houses at Dumfries. What is happening with the houses there? Is there a plan to use those houses for the folks that are displaced and homeless at this moment?
Right. So some of the apartments are being occupied. Junior, the issue is that, remember, the government engaged in an equity earning opportunity with the houses, the Chinese homes. So there just could not be an initial response which would say is an open sepulchre and just take things, mash up this and so on. Because people actually paid for it. They secured loans on behalf of it. And so we need to ensure that from that standpoint, some level of accounting was done. Again, remember, the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, which would house the information, was damaged.
Yeah.
And so there was no electricity. There was no communication at the time. And so they needed to be able to communicate with the Ministry of Housing, Social Development, et al., to be able to get the work that was required done. Those who secured the payments and so on, get that information, get them in if they were displaced from the original place of dwelling, and see how you can then now facilitate the access for people. Again, that will take a process because even the units got some damage here and there. So you don't want to just engage in an open sepulchre, free-for-all setup, and then now 3 months later, people saying, well, I born and grow here, and that kind of thinking and mentality, and then the government have to intervene and displace this, and you don't want to create that. It's
right.
Just like the narrative with the shelters. Now, notwithstanding that the residents who were impacted would have to use the shelters because there is no roof over their heads in their own homes.
Right.
But they certainly would not be of the view that they're going to stay there forever, in the shelter forever. Which means because schools have to reopen, a large amount of the shelters are schools, and we need to be able to get the work done. So which means their homes, and I could recall Minister Tevin Andrews saying that from a minister's standpoint, government standpoint, we would have to consider the elderly and the people who are occupying shelters. There's about 200 and something of them, just over 200, to be able to prioritize their homes in short order. Whether it be just covering it with a tarpaulin for now, before we do the reconstruction, that sort of thing. Yeah. So again, as I said, all of this is a process. You have to work out the cost. You have to work out the mechanics. You have to work out the how, the who is going to get the work done, etc. So it's not a knee-jerk response to say, well, the home's there, just put a man in it and so on. These things lead to problems down the road. And as I said, In this instance, you have people who actually went to financial institutions to be able to secure some of the units in Carriacou. So we just needed to establish that, whether or not their unit was damaged, so they need another one, etc. That kind of thing is what had to happen.
Right. Okay. And the last thing I wanna. Okay, before I do that, let me jump to the phone lines. I think we got a caller on the line. Let's see if we could bring in the caller right now. Caller, 1 second to me.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 second. All right. I think we got a caller now. Caller, live. Where are you calling us from? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, caller. You hear me?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, go right ahead, caller. You live.
Yeah, from Toronto.
Toronto, go ahead. Yes.
Yes, I'm calling to say hi to um, Honorable Redhead.
So,
And I was listening to the conversation on the insurance, and he is like right up there on his point. Because one of the things that I hope, I am glad this conversation came up because I was waiting to say something like that. A lot of things are being said on TV that you can see is propaganda, and it's things that is being set up for the base for when election comes around.
yeah.
It would not work because when the diaspora people look to and we see a lot and we know a lot, apparently it seems as though we know more and understand more than they do. For instance, Rose, could you hold it down? Because I look at um, Jenny Simon and this Scott guy, and these people cannot contextualize. In my opinion, they have no common sense. Like when Scott was saying they have enough money to fix this thing and they don't need any money anymore. Come on, how dunce could some people be? Because let's take Carriacou and Petit Martinique is demolished. The average cost to build one house alone is about $300,000. But let's take the smaller houses and say $200,000. Do the math. So if even Grenada collected $3 million and they want the government to fix everybody house, what's about the agriculture? What about other infrastructure that has
Health.
been damaged?
Yeah.
How would the government recover from something like that? Let me just go to Katrina. When Katrina hit, Junior, you may know, when Katrina hit, it took, it's still rebuilding, as a matter of fact. And remember, what our prime minister is doing, the president of the United States, Bush, did not do. Bush took a flight over that place before he hit ground. Now, Scott and they are saying a lot of things that are very misleading, and as you rightfully said, it could discourage those of us in the diaspora who is willing to help, but that would not work for them. It works against them. As I said on one show before, I think Scott and those guys that are on there and Jenny, they are the biggest campaigners for the NDC because they are making people see right through them. Believe it or not, though. Believe it or not. They are making people see right through because people get together and talk. Even NNP supporters in the diaspora are seeing them in a different light. And remember, Kit Mitchell and they are very smart. They're not putting their faces there to say these things. They're using others, their base, to say these things. They're hiding themselves. And it's ridiculous. The government is doing a great job. We have an excellent prime minister that doesn't take on them on the nonsense. But Mr. Redhead, I always like to hear you speak because
Yes.
you're truthful, you're assertive, you're not disrespectful, you're assertive. And a lot of people mix up assertiveness with disrespect.
Yeah.
Now, this thing is, is, is happening here now. We see St. Louis in the States waving a flag, and even before Cam Jones said it, I said it. because I saw it probably before Kem Jones, waving a flag to a man that is singing that Carriacouians living on the tarpaulin and on the house and laughing and making a mockery of the very people that they say they care about. When they say these things, it is to discourage the outside world from supporting Grenada so that Grenada could be rebuilt. They want it to remain in a state that when election comes around, they can say, you see what we said, you
Yeah.
see what we said. But
Yeah.
we have very intelligent,
Yes.
very bright parliament, and thank God for that.
Thank
And
you.
people would not fall for that.
Thank you so much, caller.
Mr. Redhead, I'm just saying to you guys, keep up the good work
Thank you.
and keep on pressing forward because Grenada would rise and it would rise under the NDC and
All right.
no one else because Keith Mitchell and they have nothing good to say. And Junior,
Thank you so
keep
much.
up the good work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you guys have a good evening.
All right. Great.
Thank
Great.
you and same to you.
To add to that a bit, right? I want to do some maths. What's the house in stock in Carriacou? Like what about 1,500?
About 4,000 or maybe just over that. I stand to be corrected, but certainly not under 4,000. It's above 4,000.
So if we average it to be 200,000 per house, and I'm not even going to go with 4,000. I'm going to go with 2,500.
Right.
2,500. So $200,000 would be the average cost of a house times 2,500.
That's a lot of money. And that's just for homes alone.
That's $500 million.
Yeah, you know, and so Junior, because remember, we have Petit Matney, right? The infrastructure there totally decimated.
Yeah.
Right? You have the hospital that you would have to reinvest. The Limle farm, the solar project, totally destroyed, right? And so when people try to begin to quantify, if you're not careful, it could easily get out of hand for you in terms of the cost. What we are saying as an administration is that we will have to prioritize, notwithstanding that the cost assessment is going to be an ongoing assessment. We will have to prioritize. So if 44 million US is a start, it will go into reconstruction of government buildings, this aid, ensuring that you have health facilities, ensuring that schools are back up and running, people could return to the education system. Teachers are going to be able to get paid. You're organizing work and so on, and you're going to be able to pay consistently a contractor to do the ongoing massive cleanup campaign throughout the two islands that is required, knowing the unique challenge of it having to be shipped out on boats. So you need to establish new pickup points because you can't overload the dump site because that would be a recipe for disaster. So there are a number of things, Junior, that we have to take into consideration that is not just going to require the knee-jerk reaction,
Yeah.
emotional response that we have always seen in the past.
But just look at this number alone for homes.
Yeah,
$500 million. $500 million. And you say the budget, the overall budget of Grenada last year was
about 1.2.
1.2 billion. So it's about half the
And that's just for homes alone.
Not just for homes alone.
Yeah.
But that's enough money. That's enough money. I don't understand this. Something probably wrong with my calculator. Guys, it's $500 million if we quantify it as 2,500 homes. And a minimum of $200,000 per home. And there are houses in Carriacou that worth way more than that. It's going to cost way more than that.
Of course.
I don't know.
That's the kind of argument or conversation, rather, not argument, but conversation that we need to be having. But I want to make this point, Junior, because going back to my original concern with the opposition. Now, this administration was criticized from a party standpoint of hosting galas and so on. And we were trying to be able to build our headquarters and to have that headquarters as a training center, to expand all the question of skills and so on that we're talking to our membership, and to do much broader things than just, try to gain power politically. And so we were hosting these galas with the sole purpose to be able to raise the necessary resources to be able to go into that. We have steady progress that the Honorable Prime Minister is going to be able to report in future. But the point about it is that we are seeing a situation where, all right, I wouldn't tell somebody how to run their organization. I think they're celebrating 40 years or something as a political party, and therefore they may be having these different events and so on. Fine. But the government of Grenada was to host a town hall meeting in New York the very day that it was said that Hurricane Beryl had rapidly intensified and was heading to Grenada. And so, in our own judgment, what we decided was to postpone the event altogether. I
Yeah.
could recall speaking to the Honorable Andy Williams, speaking to the Honorable Delma Thomas. At that time, the Honorable Tevin Andrews run a Houdini on us, and he ended up in Carriacou because he said, "Boy, I cannot leave my people alone to face that." So the man disappeared on us, and next thing I know, he down in Carriacou, well, in Grenada, heading to Carriacou. So we didn't play that. And so the point about it is, while we were having galas and so on before Hurricane Beryl, in the event of a disaster, we certainly postponed all of these things and ensured that our sole purpose was going to be for the Grenadians, Carriacouians, and Petit Martinicans who were affected. And it is done on me, or rather incumbent on me to say this, that after so much destruction that was touted by the leadership, blah, 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 of that party, yes, you're celebrating your 40 years. I don't know if they had their bingo, but I would think or hope that just like the podcast, they would postpone the gala and that you wouldn't go dancing up and laughing and having a good time and so on and making these insensitive comments at a time when people are struggling, the very poor people that you say you love, and so on, at a time when they are struggling, to be able to spread that kind of message as if, well, everything is all good and well because I ain't had to deal with that. Let the NDC deal with it. That kind of petty and what I would say immature political behavior is something that people would continue to see and observe. And I want to highlight it because I think it must be underscored. Because when we compare those who claim they talk for poor people versus those who do for the most vulnerable amongst us, I think the writing is on the wall where that is concerned. When it comes to free or tuition-free education, when it comes to greater access to education, when it comes to the improvement in healthcare and access to better healthcare and quality of life that people have to access, when it comes to ensuring that we pay the pensions and to be able to ensure that people who are working and retiring into poverty did not have to continue upon that trend in public service. So, in my humble opinion, I think I want to use this opportunity to highlight this point, but to say that now is not the time to play petty politics. And I would love to hear the mature conversation on the podcast that the leader of his opposition promised that he was going to have. As I mentioned in one of your previous shows, I hope this is not going to be an oil and gas. Go and have the podcast and go and report to the nation what your organization is doing for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique and give some suggestions. As I told him up in Carriacou, go back home in Grenada when he was giving me talk in Hillsborough, go back by the Welcome Center, go back in Grenada, mobilize some men and let it come back up and help us. Right? I said it as a joke, but in hindsight, I think it's a serious request that the government could make on the opposition and stop wasting time and playing petty politics.
Yeah. Let me tell you, this whole hurricane really derailed my whole mind, and I'm here right now, but every day I'm running to New Jersey, I'm running to Staten Island, I'm just all over the place, man, just getting things together. And everybody say, oh, you're not on the ground yet, but I have to be here and picking up things from people. And of course, whenever there is an event, whether it's here in New York or in Toronto, able to capture that and let the whole world know what's happening so they can. So when I'm doing all of these things, right, and it's carnival time, I supposed to be doing Monday Night Mass,
Well, if I tell you, I looking to see who go win Soca Monarch because them artists and them as per usual, you had the Dash, the Boise, the Terra in particular.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to let the secret out who I think would win, but I'm just saying this is the time when we normally talk about our largest cultural event and we have to be dealing with the impact of that. And shout out to Spice Mass because I
Yeah.
think they are handling post-Hurricane Beryl very well and having to manage the hurricane situation. And I want to take this opportunity to highlight Carriacou's queen.
Yeah.
Because Junior, that young lady was volunteering. Now she had to go down because she had to participate in the Queen show. She had to get herself pampered, etc. So I understand her exit. But immediately after Hurricane Beryl, when I went up there, that young lady was on the port. She was in NADMA's headquarters. She was in the shelters. She was assisting. And it's something that, without me trying to add to any support to her, but I want to highlight it because I think this is the heart of genuine activism. And
Yeah.
so to all those who, recognize her, Miss St. John recognized Miss Carriacou and Petit Martin, Miss St. Patrick also.
Patrick, yeah.
Yeah, and she also lost her home from what was reported to me. So it tells me that these young ladies are soldiering on.
Yeah.
And they have the tenacity and they have the ability, in my view, to go even further than just Queen Show. Remember, one of the things that I spoke of from the standpoint of pageantry was to build this into an institutionalized institution that would be able to empower young girls in particular to
Yes.
be able to be more than just beauty contestants.
Yeah.
They would be forces to reckon with. And I must say, I'm impressed with Carriacou and Petit Martinique's queen, notwithstanding that she's taller than me, but I have the greatest level of respect for her and her ability to, in my view, walk in many different shoes and still be able to participate in the pageant 2024.
Yeah, well, listen, and I have to make this announcement because I refrained from speaking about it. Everyone calling and asking us, what are we doing in terms of carnival? We did, in fact, had a whole idea set up, guys, but the hurricane came, derailed a lot of the ideas. And you say, I spoke to the team and say, if we're doing anything this year for Monday Night Mass in Grenada, it have to be something in aid of Carriacou and Petit Martinique and the folks that's affected. So we put our heads together and we decided that we'll do something, probably not in the way how Amazing Colors, on the road, but we are going to do something. And this concept is called We'll Rise Again from the Storm. And this is Amazing Colors and Clark Cook Report. And this is Monday Night Mass, eh? This is Monday Night Mass. So you get your t-shirt, you get your glow stick. We go have a time. We'll rise again from the storm. And guys, the beauty of this is proceed of our Monday Night Mass this year will go in aid of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And we are begging for your support. Let's give back to the folks affected. Because let me tell you something, they don't have enough. They don't have enough. They need more.
Yeah, and listen, when the first 3 months, Junior, ends, and the initial food supply and all these kind of things sort of slow down, because you may have other disasters globally and so on to treat with.
Absolutely.
That is when you are going to feel it, and that's when they are going to need our support the most. So we shouldn't have the usual Grenadian style 8 days, and after 8 days we forget and we ain't bothering and so on. It must be a continual progression towards the assistance and rebuilding, because as I said, in some instances, countries take 2, 3, 4 years to rebuild after a natural disaster at that magnitude.
Absolutely, absolutely, guys. So again, I believe that always put yourself in a position to reflect positivity. And I believe that converting our whole Monday Night Mass Carnival concept towards Carriacou and Petit Martinique, although we may not, people might say, but what about all the beautiful, the outfits and all that stuff? We ain't going that route this year, guys. This year, we're giving you something. This is what it is. This is the t-shirt, you get your glow stick, and we're having fun in aid of Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
I think, Junior, my two partners on the podcast will like that one.
Yeah, let's see.
So they should be upfront and making sure that they contribute to that
Of
cause.
course, absolutely, absolutely. And even guys, even if we call in on the people who may not even be in Grenada, even if you're not going to be in Grenada, you can play virtually. So you could buy the t-shirt, have it in Florida, wherever you at.
Nice.
They get it to you. And you still play it. You could do on your in your home with your glow stick and your thing. You buy your package and you still having a fun Monday Night Mass. All in the Carriacou and Petit Martinique, guys. The packages will be available very soon in Grenada. Monday Night Mass with amazing colors with a different twist. We aid in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. That's what we're doing. Honorable Minister, MP, thank you so much. We appreciate your time answering that call. I know you have to run to another engagement, but you took the time to chat with us. We appreciate you, my brother. Any last word before we go?
Well, just to say that the rebuilding process continues in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, that from the words of Honorable Prime Minister, we're in this for the long haul. This is going to be something that we didn't expect that we'd have to deal with in the first 2 years of our first term. And certainly we are going to be stronger as a result, not just as a government, but as a people out of this, because we continue to learn from the experiences post-national disasters or natural disasters. And so I just want to continue to encourage the residents of Carriacou, Petit Martinique, hold firm, be assured that we will do everything in our power as government to be able to ensure that we serve you and that you yourself will find power to be able to rise again. And so we look forward to the continuation of the rebuilding, and we want to just continue to encourage you to stay positive, and let's continue building Carriacou, St. Patrick, and Grenada.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better, my brother. We will rise again from the storm. Thank you, MP. We keep in touch, guys. Again, this is what we're looking like for Monday Night Mass. I know you guys haven't seen us looking like that in the past, but we had to change. We had to do something different, right? We had to change up our whole goal. This year, we're in aid of Carriacou and Petit Martinique because they don't have enough. They won't have enough. It is not sufficient. I will ensure we do our part in keeping the message out there. So guys, the only thing about this Monday Night Mass package this year, it will be limited. It will be limited. There is not, because of the shortage of the time, it's just not enough time to have all these prints, right? You could imagine. So everything is fast-tracked from here on. So what we're doing now, getting everything done in Grenada, having it available. But if you are not in Grenada and will not be in Grenada, but you still want to support, we're going to have it online. I know you guys are asking for the price. Check back, I'll post the link. We will rise again after the storm. Amazing Colors and Clark's Court, Monday Night Mass on the road. Yeah.
Pick yourself up with Ride Rent a e-bike today and take advantage of the smartest and coolest way to get around. Rental starting for only $30 per hour and less than $100 EC per day. Zip through traffic, save money, and look awesome doing it. Check us out at the Esplanade Mall today. Visit us online at ridersebike.com or give us a call at 473-422-1011. Your wallet and the planet will thank you. Ride Rent a e-bike.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot-type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top top up your account, and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up, up, up several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
You call me to lift the level, high the level, raise the level, up it, up it.
Yeah, guys. Again, Monday Night Mass official announcement is on. It's on like a boiled corn. Yeah, this one on. Yeah, it on. It on like a boiled corn. And you're playing Monday Night Mass this year with amazing colors. With a cause, with a cause. We'll rise again after the storm. Amazing colors and Clark's Court. If you're asking for packages, guys, we will post the link where you can pick up your packages. Very limited though, very limited. Trust me. Very limited packages will be available. And it would also be online, so you guys could buy it out. Already we got so much requests. We got so much requests for these packages, guys. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Let's tell them it's never enough. It's not enough. Carriacou and Petit Martinique, St. Patrick, St. Mark, Victoria still need your help. It's never enough, and it won't be enough. Monday Night Mass with Amazing Colors is gonna be a little bit different this year.
Today we go mash it up. 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 You can't stop your unstoppable. You can't move your unmovable. You can't move your unmovable. You can't break the unbreakable. You can't break the unbreakable.
The heart and soul of Spice Mass at the Grenlec Traditional Mass Festival on Saturday, July 27th at Hero Square, Victoria in St. Mark. Join us from 3 p.m. and witness the spectacular cultural display of the various traditional mass bands such as Carriacou, Shortney, while in there, Jab Jab and Maypole dancers with vibrant costumes, infectious music, and unforgettable cultural tradition. Bring your family and friends to enjoy an afternoon filled with excitement and heritage. Your presence is not just a visit, but a contribution to the preservation of our rich Grenadian culture. The Traditional Mass Festival, commencing 3 p.m. Hero Square, St. Mark. See you there. Saturday, 27 July. This event is sponsored by Grenlec.
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being a part of our program. We appreciate you. On behalf of all of our production crew here at Right Along Live, we say thank you so much. Appreciate you. Don't forget, guys, you could get the solar charging port. Now, this is for everybody, yeah? This is for anybody who wants it. We just have a lot of it. We got a whole lot because we send on some to Carriacou. And we still have more. So if you guys want to purchase some, and if you purchase, we just could buy more and make sure that folks in Carriacou have at least one of these. This again is solar power there. See the solar charger right there? You don't need to plug it in. It gets direct from the sun, charge up itself, right? So if you want to get one of those for yourself, and it's like a donation, you buy it and then we could just buy more in aid of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, all right? Probably we could put that in the package too. Yeah, probably could put that in the package. Solar power panel in the package. We just have a lot of those, guys. Got a lot. And we intend to get it on to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Again, this is a solar power charger and also a flashlight. See it? Yeah. It's a real good piece of Swiss Army knife. Nice thing to have. So you can get it, click on the link right there, guys. Go into the Ride By store and purchase it. All right. See, we have a whole lot. We have a bunch of those, guys. We have a lot. Oh, guys. So you guys was asking me about the shirt, right? Where is it? Ride. Right. So, guys, soon, like in a matter of weeks, right? You're going to be hearing a lot more about Ride Diamond. Ride Diamond, right? What is Ride Diamond? Ride Diamond is a ride share, right? Ride Diamond is a ride share service. It's kind of like Uber, it's kind of like Lyft. So you come into Grenada and you want to get a taxi, you want to get a bus, you want someone to pick you up to take you someplace. You just download the app, you click it, taxi's going to come pick you up, take you where you need to go. Very simple concept. But it's gonna really make your life, easier to get around in Grenada. Also, we have a social media component, so we built our own social media on top of it. It's really cool. So like we have our own Facebook. It's not called Facebook, it's called Ride Social. So when you go on there, you can meet new friends, you could post your pictures, you could engage. It's real cool. It's real cool. All right. So look forward for that. That's all on the new Ride app. And now the app will be available in both the Android and in the Google Play Store. In fact, it's already inside of the Apple Store. It's already inside. If you have an iPhone right now, go into the Apple Store and search for Ride Grenada. It's already there. It's already there. It's already there. RYDE Grenada. Just search for that in the App Store and download it. It's already inside there. And when you get in Grenada, if you want to get an e-bike, you could do it on the app. It's real cool. A lot of things happening on there, guys, but it's real cool. Just search for it. It's going to be in the Android store in the next couple of days, but right now it's in the App Store and the Apple. If you have a Apple iPhone, go in the store. Ride Grenada. All right. Yeah. So that's a lot happening, right? Now my task is to get those T-shirts and everything down to Grenada now. This is the hard part. All right. Monday Night Mass with amazing colors, with a twist. We will rise after the storm. Monday Night Mass with amazing colors. Yeah, Samsung, we gonna have it on Samsung for Samsung in the next couple, in the next couple of days. Just going through the process right now, the testing phase in the Google Play Store. But right now it's on for Apple. Let me show you. Type in Ride Grenada, RYDE Grenada. Let me go into the store. This is my app store. All right, so you go in there and you type in RYDE Grenada. Keep in mind, guys, that the, you see it right there? I don't know if you guys could see it. Let me see if I could switch to this camera here. You see it right there? See it right there? It's inside the store already. There you go. So just type in Ride Grenada. It's already inside the store. You could download it. All right. But the rideshare component won't be up until in August, okay? So when you download it, it looks like this, Ride Diamond. See all the diamonds? Diamonds are forever. All the diamonds are there. So this is I just click the rideshare, right? It's real cool, guys. Download it, play with it. Play with it a bit. A new toy for you guys. You need transport next week? Okay, if I'm covering Kaiso tonight, no, I'm not going to be covering it tonight. I think it's going to be on pay-per-view. The solar bank, it is, I'll tell you right now. For the solar bank, click that link. Click that link for the solar bank. You could go into ridebuy.com if you want to get the solar ridebuy.com. You go in there, go into ridebuy.com, and you could download, and you could buy the solar, the bank, or that link I just put there. This one. Click on that link, you're gonna take you to the solar power bank. All right, you could get it tonight, it's gonna be shipped out to you. Okay? Anyway, guys, peace out. The solar bank. Everyone asking for the solar bank. Just go to the ridebuy.com to get information on the solar bank. All right? Good night, guys. Catch you guys again tomorrow.
Today we go mash it up. 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 They can't stop you, stop you, they can't move you, unmovable. They can't move you, unmovable. They can't break you, unbreakable. They can't break you, unbreakable.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money.